First I want to say thanks to everybody who commented, liked, and subscribed on my previous video, which was for Read So Lit. Just thanks everybody. You know, I just really I'm not very good at making statements. I think I just like to just go with what I love, and that's what I did with that video. I'm doing an unhaul video now, and these are the books that I'm going to get rid of to sort of spring clean my shelf. Because you know, when you get them income taxes, sweetie pie, your ass be like, look, I gotta go to Barnes and Noble to get some books, I gotta order online, I gotta go ham, cheese, and eggs on rye bread with a sliver of relish and maybe some mustards to go along with my meal, my book meal. So the first book that I am getting rid of is Touch the Dark by Chang. Now, I want to just put this out here first, that one of my subscribers, I don't really like saying that my subscribers, but one of the people that are subscribed to my channel, you know who you are, you recommended that I retry the series, and that was last summer when we had that discussion on one of my videos. Unfortunately, I think I probably am not going to be able to get into this series because I've kind of developed who I like as urban fantasy authors, and or more specific, who I would like to follow as urban fantasy authors, and I kind of just want to keep it at these authors at this point. But anyway, for those who are not familiar with Chang, she writes an urban fantasy series featuring a girl named Cassandra Palmer. She can communicate with the dead and see the future. So naturally, because she can communicate with the dead, she draws in the attention of vampires. And that, of course, in an urban fantasy book leads to probably vampire sex and girl. I actually started this book like years ago when I was just getting into the urban fantasy genre, and I didn't like it so much then, and you know, I guess I just don't too much care for it now. And so the next book that has to leave is On Such a Fool Sea by Chang. I think it's not Chang, it's Chang Rae-Lee. But I was so in love with this book, The Surrendered, even though it was a bleak novel. I thought it was just, I just love the book in general as is. I was so tuned to Lee that I was like, look, I'm gonna read another book by him, and I chose On Such a Fool Sea, and baby, this book was on a damn sea. Like, girl, they was. Did you ever see that movie with Tom Hanks where he was on the ship and that ship was in a tornado or some shit? I don't know. But the problem I have, I got like 124 pages in. It's a dystopian novel, and it's like it says, it's about people, the Chinese people, who sort of immigrated as laborers, sort of like hell when they was making railroads in California, but immigrated like laborers to come to America after their country was sort of devoured by pollution, by economics, by overpopulation. So they come into America and they settle inside of these ghettos that was once inhabited by black people and Hispanic people or Latino people, and they revitalize these ghettos and form a colony. This colony's job is to raise crops, you know, agricultural means, and to also provide fishing for colonies or villages outside of their ghettos. So it's almost like you can say that they're a community of laborers who are providing food for people in status, people who are elite. And it's told through the third person plural, meaning that we're getting the voice of these people, this colony of Chinese people, we're getting their voice as the narrator. And that voice is streamlined into the story of this Chinese girl named Fan, who runs away from her colony to find her boyfriend, who is actually a descendant of black people and Chinese people intermingled. And she's trying to find him because she is pregnant, and that may be a spoiler. But like I was saying, unfortunately, I just could not get into the book. And the reason I could not get into it was because it was told to the third person plural, and yet we were, as a reader, you're sort of designed or pushed to have sort of a connection with this Fan character. The problem is that I did not like Fan because I was not getting attached to her because of the narrative. I found her mostly stale as a character. You know, there was a point where she saved a kid from drowning in this ditch, and I just was not connecting with that pivotal moment because it was told in a way that it was sort of like a fable. You know, she was a fable-like character told by this narrative that was just all-encompassing of this colony of people, and it's just, was not working for me. So that's why I have to get rid of On a Full C. I think at this point I'm probably a touch done with Lee. You know, I read 3 books by him, or part 3.5, and that, I think, out of those 3, 2 of them were disappointments. So I think I'm done with him. Probably. We'll see. We'll see. The next book that I am saying goodbye to, goodbye my friend, is Chang. I was gonna call her Chang Rae-Lee. No, Lydia Kang's Control. I think because the majority of booktubers are YA readers, you already know what this book is about. I read it last February. I just had an interest in it. You know, it sort of caught my eye for several reasons. One, it was a YA book, and I don't read a lot of YA, so I decided to give it a try. 2, it was about science, and so it was about genetics. 3, the author is Asian. As you can see, I don't know if you can see here, but anyway, hell, her name tells you enough as it is. And then I just thought, you know, maybe this would be something that I would find some kind of interest in. And really, it was a wishy-washy situation with me reading it. I kind of liked it, and then I kind of criticized it a little bit too much, especially for some things that just wasn't ticking with me. Had I read the second book, or had the second book came out like sooner after I read this book, then I probably would have kept going, but I just lost interest. It's been over a year after I read it. The second book just came out this March, and it's like I'm on a whole nother wavelength. So, you know, like I said, I'm not very good at YA books, so I think I'll leave this to the YA booktubers who really know how to dig into this sort of genre. If you have not read this, if you leave me a message in the comments below, the first person that leaves me a message who wants this book, I'll give it to them. And the only reason I'm going to give it away is because I kind of feel like someone else can do it more justice than I can. So if you want this book and you are on my subscribers list, leave me a comment below, and the first person who comments that they want this book, I will ship it out to you. Yes. So the next book that I'm getting rid of is Object of Desire by William J. Mann. And I'm gonna read this to you guys. Okay, no, I'm not gonna read that. It's too damn long. Okay, anyway. William J. Mann is a gay contemporary fiction writer. I read one of his books before called Where the Boys Are. It was interesting, but it was like, girl, no. It was about a group of gay men who were trying to put together this bed and breakfast with this woman. Something like that. I can't get all the details because it's been over 10 years. The Object of Desire, I really want to read the inside, but it's like, girl, it's too damn much. Okay, Danny Fortunia seemed to have it all. He was cute, funny, sexy, smart, the hottest go-go boy in West Hollywood. Okay, we'll keep going. When he danced on stage, all eyes were upon him and all men desired him. But something always kept Danny from ever really believing he was the golden boy that others said he was, a secret that he carried with him ever since he was a teenager. 20 years later, living in Palm Springs, Danny is celebrating his 41st birthday, although celebrating might not be the right word for how he feels about his life today. To the outside world, he's still golden. He still has his looks, and he still loves Frank, his boyfriend of nearly 2 decades, but something is missing in his life: passion, romance, adventure, the same something that's been missing ever since that day when he turned 14, when his sister Becky disappeared and his whole world flipped upside down. Now into Danny's life walks a gorgeous young bartender named Kelly, who becomes for Danny an obsession, an object of desire and fascination. But Kelly's indifference to this one-time golden boy only confirms what Danny secretly believes, that he's vanishing into thin air like his sister so long ago. As he reflects on his angst-ridden childhood, the shattering of his family, the sex and drugs of his youth as one of LA's most coveted boy toys, Danny begins to recognize certain patterns. Somewhere along the way, he gave up on his dreams, not only of becoming an actor, but his very lust for life. And yet, all that's about to change when a surprising, agonizing connection with Kelly sends Danny on a soul-searching quest to reclaim things he loves and lost. We'll get to why I picked this book up. I found it at the used library bookstore, at the public used library bookstore, and I really just picked it up because I haven't really been reading a lot of gay contemporary fiction. And oh my goodness, there's so many things I could say. The point is that I don't necessarily think that, although I really want to mix my reading up, I'm just not. I just just can't get into a lot of gay contemporary fiction. A lot of it is angst ridden, but a lot of it has to do with some authors. There's two things. One, I think a lot of gay contemporary fiction is written for women. If you go to Amazon and you see that you click on the list or whatever, they're written by women. A lot of them are written by women for women. It's sort of like the M/M in fan fiction, you know, and that's okay too. I don't have a problem with any of that. I think that I'm more happy that people are sort of exploring this sort of subject as is, because some people need to know something. A lot of times I don't read a lot of gay contemporary fiction because some authors, they put the sexuality before the character, and that is annoying to me. So I really could go into a lot of details about that, but at the end of the day, I think that this in particular is that I'm really not so interested, that I probably would not really connect with the story about the golden blonde coveted go-go dancer boy in LA who is dancing in the cage with his patini on, and just, you know, I don't think that's gonna work. So I just really just think that I just should pass on that, and we'll move it right along. So, and next I'm getting rid of is The China Lover by Buruma? I don't know. You tell me. You would think that I would absolutely love this book because everybody knows I love Eastern stories, especially Eastern stories revolving around Asia, revolving around women of Asian cultures and how they do whatever they do. But the reason I had this book on my shelf for about 11 years, and it's basically about a Japanese girl born in China. She has to keep that to herself. It's during the Second World War II. And she wants to be a movie star in China. She wants to be a movie star and a singer, and it just chronicles her journey from keeping her identity a secret while pursuing her dreams. I think the writing style is what stopped me from really getting into this book, and after being on my shelf for 4 years, I was like, look, you just might as well go, because there's plenty more that I've read between that time and what I want to read in the future, and we just ain't got time for it. And last, I'm getting rid of Sandra Brown's Deadline. Yeah. The point is that Sandra Brown, she is a romance suspense writer. Her writing, she has some really good ones. But I think that if I look at my shelf now, after either Tough Customer or Smokescreen, they started to get too much. She has too much of a formula with it, and I get so annoyed with her books because there's always the woman who, she has a child, her husband is either a killer, or her husband is either in jail, or her husband is either some kind of guy that just mistreats the hell out of her. And so with that being said, the male character in this story is either on the run from the police as a mistaken identity, he's on the run from the police as someone who is framed for murder. He's basically on the run and seeks out the help of this woman, and slowly, as a romance suspense novel, these two come together to try to form a bond. And girl, in every one of her books, the man is like, he is feral. Well, is feral right? He's feral when it comes to sex. Like, girl, these women have so many damn problems in their head from mistreatment from other men, and sometimes, most of the time, they have children along with them. The children be in danger too, child. You know, everybody just in danger. But the children be in danger, the woman be in danger. Her mind is messed the hell up, is broken. And here's this man. Every chapter, you're like, just let me touch you, you know, let me get into your heart, let me get into you, and hell, you can take it wherever else you want to take it from that point. But the point is that that's been happening in the previous 2 or 3 books, and I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna start clearing my shelf of her, because there's no sense in me holding on to these books when I really need the room for these big books. She had a Mean Streak came out in August, and I really do want to read Mean Streak. It seemed like it may be different, but I'm very, very, very cautious right now. And I didn't even tell you what that book is about, but you get the point. I said it's a formula. Trust me, it's a formula. With that being said, if you ever do happen to want to read a Sandra Brown book, honey, sweet boo-boo pot pies, chicken, red beans and rice with some biscuits on it. Girl, I could go for that right now. But anyway, we ain't finna do all that because my stomach is not about to be hurting today. No. But if you ever decide you want to read a Sandra Brown book, I really, really highly recommend Rainwater. This is actually not a suspense thriller, romance suspense thriller by Sandra Brown. But I'm just gonna let you guys discover this for yourself. But I love this book. I almost cried at the end of this book. But anyway, if you ever decide to read Sandra Brown, this is it. But she is a girl. She is Miss Brown. Be getting her pictures though. Yes. But anyway, guys, that is it. Those are the books that I'm gonna be getting rid of. This as of right now. I think I better close it there. That's enough. Nah, that's enough. So it is 5:36 pickup sticks. So that means it's time for my Ratchet TV. Bye.